Kyle had traveled through countless star systems, yet nothing had prepared him for the sight that greeted him on the rocky surface of the planet Azura 7. The sky was a deep shade of violet, streaked with silver clouds that shimmered under the light of 3 suns. Craggy mountains rose sharply in the distance, and the air carried a metallic scent that hinted at untold mineral wealth. Kale had expected danger, but what he found instead was something much more complicated, a hidden world alive with secrets. He had been following rumors of a small, mercenary crew that had recently stolen sensitive data from the Intergalactic Trade Council. The crew was elusive, moving from system to system, leaving no trace behind. Many had tried to find them before, and many had failed. Kale, however, was persistent, not because he was seeking glory or reward, but because he had an instinct that there was something extraordinary about these mercenaries. The first thing Kale noticed when he approached the dimly lit cave that served as their hideout was the silence. The planet itself seemed to hold its breath as though wary of the intruder. He crouched behind a jagged rock, scanning the entrance. Through the opening, he could see shadows shifting across the walls, faint outlines of figures moving with practiced precision. Every step they took was deliberate, quiet, and careful. Kale's heart raced, not from fear but from anticipation. Then he saw her. She was smaller than the others, her movements graceful yet slightly hesitant, as if she were both confident and cautious at the same time. Her skin shimmered faintly under the cave lights, a pale blue hue that contrasted sharply with her dark armor. She moved toward a corner of the cave and began removing her gear with careful, methodical motions. Kale instinctively froze. He had heard stories of these mercenaries, tough, dangerous, and completely untrusting of outsiders. No one had ever described them as bashful, yet here she was, completely unaware that he was watching, or perhaps not caring at all. "No peeking, human," she said without turning around. Her voice was soft, almost shy, yet it carried an authority that made Kale pause. It was as though her words were a challenge wrapped in a warning, daring him to step closer, yet asking him to respect boundaries at the same time. Kyle swallowed, unsure whether to advance or retreat. There was something magnetic about her presence, something that demanded attention without demanding it. He cleared his throat lightly and stepped forward, careful to make his movement visible. "I'm not here to spy," he said, his voice steady despite the rush of adrenaline. "I want to help." She paused, slowly turning to face him. Her eyes were striking, an unusual shade of green that seemed almost to glow against her pale skin. She studied him for a long moment, as if weighing his words against some internal standard that only she understood. Then she gave a small, almost imperceptible nod, and gestured for him to follow her deeper into the cave. The interior was larger than it seemed from the outside. The walls were lined with equipment, weapons of every imaginable kind, and technology Kale had only read about in human archives. Hollow maps of star systems glowed softly against the far wall, highlighting trade routes, planetary defenses, and possible escape paths. The air hummed with a quiet energy, alive with the presence of those who had mastered the art of survival in a universe that could be cruel and unforgiving. As they walked, she introduced herself. "I'm Lyra," she said simply, as though a name alone explained everything. Kale nodded, offering his own name. She didn't respond with more than a glance, but there was a flicker of curiosity in her eyes that he couldn't ignore. The rest of the crew emerged slowly, a mix of aliens from different star systems, each with their own unique abilities and quirks. There was an enormous reptilian being with scaled arms capable of crushing steel, a multi-limbed engineer who tinkered endlessly with gadgets, and a quiet, almost ghost-like figure whose presence seemed to fade into the shadows. All of them watched Kale with varying degrees of suspicion, some openly, some subtly, but none hostile, at least not yet. Kale quickly realized that gaining their trust would not be simple. They had survived because they were cautious, because they expected betrayal and were always prepared for it. But Kale had something that they didn't anticipate: human ingenuity. While other species relied on raw strength, technology, or instinct, humans had a way of thinking that combined creativity with resilience. He had solved problems that no one else could, often in moments when survival seemed impossible. "I need your help," Kyle began, choosing his words carefully. "There's a device, ancient, powerful, and dangerous. It's been lost for centuries, and if it falls into the wrong hands, it could destabilize entire systems. I know you've been hiding, but you're the only ones capable of retrieving it. And I can guide you." There was silence. Then Lyra stepped forward, her expression unreadable. "Why should we trust a human?" she asked. The words were simple, but the weight behind them was immense. Trust was not given freely among mercenaries, and Kale understood that. "Because humans survive when everything is against them," he said. "Because we adapt, we improvise, and we endure. I'm not asking for blind loyalty. I'm asking for a chance to prove myself. If I fail, it's on me, but if we succeed, everyone benefits." Lyra studied him, her gaze sharp and calculating. For a long moment, Kale thought she might turn away, dismissing him entirely. Then she sighed and nodded slightly. "Fine, you follow my lead, but one mistake, human, and you're on your own." That was the start of their partnership. Over the following days, Kale learned more about the crew and their unique methods. Lyra's bashfulness contrasted sharply with her combat skills. She could take down heavily armed opponents with precision and speed, yet she blushed easily at compliments or attention. The crew, while wary, respected her for what she could do and for the quiet strength she exuded. Kale found himself admiring her, not just for her abilities, but for the way she balanced confidence and humility, skill and gentleness. One evening, as they prepared for a scouting mission, Kale noticed Lyra staring at a star chart, lost in thought. "Thinking about the mission?" he asked cautiously. She shook her head. "No, thinking about the stars, about what's out there beyond all this chaos." Her voice was soft, almost wistful. Kale understood immediately. Humans had a similar habit, dreaming, wondering, imagining. It was that curiosity, that drive to explore, that had carried humanity to the stars in the first place. And now he saw that same spark in Lyra, even in someone from another species. Their first joint operation came sooner than expected. The crew had identified a shipment of rare energy crystals guarded by a notorious space gang. It was dangerous, but the reward was significant, enough to fund the upcoming mission to retrieve the ancient device. Kale observed Lyra as she prepared for the operation, noting the careful way she checked her gear, the quiet determination in her eyes. She was bashful, yes, but when it came to survival, she was unstoppable. As they approached the drop point, Kale felt a surge of adrenaline. He had faced danger before, but nothing like this. A hostile gang, a planet crawling with automated defenses, and a crew that, despite their skill, could be overwhelmed if things went wrong. Lyra gave him a sharp nod, signaling that it was time. Together they moved with precision, human ingenuity and alien skill combining in ways that were both unpredictable and highly effective. The mission was a success. Kale marveled at how seamlessly they worked together, how trust, slow, cautious, and deliberate, had begun to form between human and alien. He realized then that this was what made humans special, the ability to connect, to inspire cooperation, even among the most unlikely allies. As the sun set over Azura 7, casting long shadows across the rocky landscape, Kale and Lyra stood side by side looking out at the horizon. The mission ahead was dangerous, filled with unknowns and threats that could end their lives at any moment. Yet there was a sense of possibility, of hope in that moment. Humanity had always survived not because of brute strength, but because of courage, intelligence, and an unyielding spirit. And now, Kale knew, that spirit had found a place even among the stars, alongside allies who might have once seemed impossible to trust. This was only the beginning. The following morning, Kale awoke to the low hum of machinery deep within the mercenary hideout. The cave was alive with activity, as the crew prepared for the mission to retrieve the ancient device. Lyra moved among them with quiet efficiency, her bashfulness replaced by the focused determination that had earned her reputation. Kale observed her closely, noting how she checked every weapon, every piece of gear, every small detail that might make the difference between success and failure. He had spent the night studying the information he had gathered about the device. It was said to be a relic from a civilization long gone, with technology so advanced that even the most skilled engineers struggled to understand it. According to ancient records, it could manipulate energy in ways that could power entire planets, or destroy them. In the wrong hands, it would be catastrophic. Kale understood the stakes. If this mission failed, countless systems could fall into chaos. "Ready, human?" Lyra asked, her voice soft but firm, drawing Kale from his thoughts. She stood near, the transport shuttle, her armor reflecting the pale light from the cave. Kale nodded. He had grown more comfortable around her despite her initial wariness. There was something in her presence that made him want to prove himself, not just as a human, but as someone worthy of the trust she had begun to place in him. The shuttle ride was tense. The rocky terrain of Azura 7 gave way to the endless expanse of space. Stars streaked past the viewport as the shuttle accelerated toward the coordinates Kyle had provided. He studied the holographic map in front of him, noting the defenses around the target location. The device was housed in a derelict space station orbiting a barren moon. Long abandoned but not unguarded, automated security systems had been left behind, designed to eliminate intruders, and rumors suggested that rogue mercenaries occasionally patrolled the station, hoping to claim the device for themselves. "We have to be careful," Kale said, pointing to the defense grids. "The station still has active energy shields. Any misstep and we could be trapped." Lyra's eyes narrowed as she considered the plan. "We'll go in quiet, disable the systems, and extract the device before anyone notices. No unnecessary risks." Her tone left no room for argument, and Kale realized that this was the way they operated: precision, discipline, and trust in each other's abilities. When they arrived at the station, the crew moved like shadows. Lyra led the way, slipping through corridors with an elegance that belied her size. Kyle followed closely, carrying a small scanner capable of identifying hidden traps. He noticed how the other mercenaries respected her authority, falling into formation without question. She was bashful in quiet moments, yet in these high-stakes situations she became a force to be reckoned with. The station was eerie. Panels flickered, and the hum of ancient machinery filled the empty corridors. Kyle felt a shiver run down his spine, not from fear but from the weight of history surrounding him. This place had once been a hub of human and alien collaboration, a beacon of progress. Now it was abandoned, left to decay while the galaxy moved on. Yet in its decay, there was purpose. The device they sought had been carefully hidden, protected by layers of security and puzzles that required both intelligence and ingenuity to overcome. Lyra paused at a junction. "Sensors detect movement ahead," she whispered. "Possibly patrol drones or scavengers. Stay low and follow my lead." Kale crouched behind a bulkhead, watching as Lyra moved forward. She was precise, almost invisible, blending into the shadows while disabling security systems one by one. Kale marveled at her skill. It was not brute force but strategy, timing, and the ability to anticipate dangers before they arose. And yet, every so often, she hesitated for a moment, a flicker of bashfulness, as if she were aware of Kale's presence and uncomfortable with the attention. They reached the chamber where the device was said to be stored. The room was vast, filled with glowing panels and wires that pulsed with energy. At the center, suspended on a platform, was the device itself. Its surface shimmered with an otherworldly light, casting reflections that danced across the walls. Kale felt a surge of awe. This was unlike anything he had ever seen, a piece of technology that carried both the promise of creation and the threat of destruction. Lyra stepped forward cautiously, scanning for traps. "There are multiple energy fields protecting it. One wrong move and it could trigger an alarm or worse." Kyle nodded, recalling the calculations he had made. Together, they devised a plan. He would use his scanner to identify weak points in the fields, while Lyra moved in to secure the device physically. It required perfect timing and complete trust in each other. As Kale initiated the scan, Lyra's hands moved deftly, manipulating controls and bypassing security systems. The tension in the room was palpable. Each second felt like an eternity, yet they worked in harmony, human intuition and alien precision blending seamlessly. Finally, Kale found a safe path through the energy fields. Lyra followed, her movements confident and fluid. When she reached the device, a low alarm suddenly blared. Kale's heart raced. "We've triggered something," he shouted. Lyra's eyes narrowed. "Stay calm. Follow my instructions exactly." She pressed a sequence of controls, her fingers flying over the panel with practiced skill. Sparks flew, and a portion of the platform retracted, revealing the device. Carefully, she lifted it, holding it securely as the alarm began to fade. Kale exhaled in relief. They had succeeded, But the mission was far from over. The station's automated defenses were still active, and they had to escape before more security measures activated. As they moved through the corridors, Lyra led, with confidence Kale following, both aware of every possible threat. Suddenly a patrol drone appeared, scanning the corridor with red lights. Lyra froze, signaling Kale to stay still. The drone's sensors swept over them, its mechanical hum growing louder. Kale held his breath. Then, with a quick gesture, Lyra activated a small device that emitted a pulse, temporarily disabling the drone. It collapsed silently to the ground. Kale marveled at her ingenuity. Even in the heat of danger, she remained composed, combining caution with daring precision. They reached the shuttle and took off just as more drones appeared, patrolling the station's exterior. The escape was tense, with lasers cutting through the void around them, but the shuttle's agility, combined with Lyra's navigation, allowed them to evade capture. Kyle felt a thrill unlike anything he had experienced. He realized that humans, though not as physically powerful as some alien species, had an ability to adapt and improvise in ways that could turn the tide in impossible situations. Once safely away, the crew celebrated quietly. Lyra gave Kale a small nod, a silent acknowledgement of his contribution. He returned it, understanding that trust had grown between them, not through words, but through action. During the return journey, Kale studied the device. It was intricate, alive in a way he couldn't fully comprehend. Yet he felt a sense of purpose, knowing that humans had once again contributed to protecting the galaxy from potential catastrophe. Lyra watched him from across the shuttle cabin, her bashfulness softened by a hint of pride. She had seen many mercenaries fail, but humans had a spark that few species could match: the ability to face the unknown with courage and creativity. As they approached their hideout, Kale felt a mix of exhaustion and exhilaration. The mission had tested him in ways he had never imagined, yet it had also revealed something deeper. Humanity's strength was not in brute force or advanced technology alone, but in the combination of courage, intelligence, and the willingness to trust others, even those from distant stars. Lyra's quiet admiration, though subtle, reinforced that truth. When they landed, the crew secured the device and began preparing for the next stage of their plan. Kyle and Lyra stood together for a moment, looking out at the violet horizon of Azura 7. "We make a good team," Kyle said quietly. Lyra hesitated, then gave a small, shy smile. "Yes, perhaps more than I expected." Kyle smiled back, feeling a sense of camaraderie that went beyond species, beyond skill. In the vastness of the galaxy, alliances were rare and trust even rarer. Yet here, on this hidden world, humans and aliens had come together, combining their strengths to achieve something extraordinary. That night, Kale reflected on the day's events. The mission had been dangerous, but it had also been a moment of connection, of proving that humans had a place even among the stars. He realized that no matter the challenges ahead, no matter the unknown dangers lurking in distant systems, humanity would endure, not because of size or strength, but because of ingenuity, courage, and the unyielding drive to survive and protect what mattered most. And as he drifted to sleep in the quiet hum of the hideout, Kale knew that this was only the beginning. Together, with Lyra and the crew, they would face greater dangers, unravel deeper mysteries, and continue to prove that even in a universe filled with the unknown, the human spirit could shine brightly, lighting the way for all who dared to follow. Kale had expected the mission to retrieve the ancient device to be the hardest challenge of his journey. Yet as he gazed at the empty expanse of space from the shuttle's cockpit, he realized the real trial had only just begun. The device, now secured, emitted a subtle hum that seemed to resonate with some hidden energy within the galaxy. Its power was immense yet unpredictable, and Kale knew that many who desired it would stop at nothing to claim it. Lyra sat beside him, her posture tense yet alert. Though she had grown more comfortable around Kale since the mission, her focus never wavered. She monitored the shuttle systems with meticulous care, her hands moving quickly over the controls. Even in moments of calm, she exuded a quiet intensity that reminded Kale why she was one of the most skilled mercenaries in the galaxy. The readings from the device are unusual, Kale said, studying the data streaming across his console. It's as if it's alive, reacting to the environment around it. I've never seen anything like this. Lyra glanced at him, her green eyes sharp. It's ancient technology. Some of the old civilizations built devices that could adapt, protect themselves, even communicate in ways we cannot understand. We need to be careful. One misstep could be disastrous. As they approached the coordinates where they were supposed to meet an allied research team, the shuttle's sensors detected movement, dozens of ships emerging from the void, sleek and armed, clearly pursuing them. Kale's heart pounded. "We've got company," he said, his voice steady despite the sudden danger. Lyra's hands flew over the controls. No time for hesitation. "Hold on." The shuttle jolted as they engaged the evasive thrusters, weaving through asteroids and debris with remarkable agility. Kale watched in awe as she navigated the chaos, her skill turning what could have been a deadly trap into a display of precision and courage. The pursuing ships opened fire, lasers slicing through space with deadly accuracy. Kale quickly analyzed the patterns, realizing that their attackers were coordinated and intelligent. Yet, despite the overwhelming odds, Lyra maintained her calm. She guided the shuttle through narrow passes, using the terrain to their advantage and minimizing the attackers' ability to target them. Kyle felt a surge of admiration. Humans were known for their ingenuity, and Lyra's skill brought out the best in him. He began suggesting maneuvers, calculating angles and trajectories that complemented her actions. Together, human and alien worked in perfect sync, combining instinct, logic, and creativity to evade the relentless onslaught. After what felt like hours but was only minutes, they managed to shake off their pursuers and land on a nearby asteroid station. The station was abandoned, its surface pitted with craters and scars from countless meteor strikes. Yet it offered temporary safety, a place to regroup and plan their next move. Inside the station, Kale and Lyra worked side by side to analyze the device. Its energy patterns were complex, shifting constantly, as if it were aware of their presence. Kale's knowledge of human technology allowed him to identify possible functions, while Lyra's experience with alien systems helped interpret its defensive mechanisms. They shared ideas, debated strategies, and slowly began to understand that the device was not just a tool, it was a relic of an intelligence far beyond anything they had encountered. "Look at this," Kale said, pointing to a series of holographic symbols that had appeared above the device. "It's a map, or instructions. It's guiding us somewhere." Lyra leaned in, her brow furrowed. "We need to follow it carefully. Whoever built this left protections for a reason. If we misinterpret the sequence..." She let the warning hang in the air. Kale understood perfectly. One wrong move could trigger alarms, traps, or worse. Their journey continued, taking them deeper into uncharted regions of space. The device's guidance led them to a nebula, swirling with vibrant colors and turbulent energy currents. The sight was breathtaking, but Kale knew the beauty masked danger. Nebulas were unpredictable, filled with magnetic storms and gravitational anomalies capable of destroying even the most resilient ships. Lyra navigated with precision, adjusting the shuttle's course to compensate for the nebula's chaotic forces. Kale monitored the readings, calculating risks and potential escape routes. He realized that humans had an advantage in these moments, our ability to adapt quickly, to find solutions in environments that seemed hostile, to combine knowledge and intuition in ways that could outthink even the most advanced machines. As they entered the heart of the nebula, the shuttle shook violently. Energy surges from the device reacted with the nebula's charged particles, creating bursts of light that illuminated the cockpit. Kale felt a thrill unlike anything he had experienced. This was the unknown, raw and powerful yet full of possibility. He realized that humans were not just survivors. They were explorers, innovators, and problem solvers, capable of facing what no one else could. Suddenly, an energy pulse from the device triggered a hidden signal. A massive structure emerged from the swirling gases, partially cloaked and nearly invisible. It was a station, or perhaps a ship from a civilization long thought extinct. Its surface was covered in symbols similar to those the device had projected. Kale and Lyra exchanged a look of awe. They had found the origin of the device, a place that held answers not just to the mission but to the mysteries of the galaxy itself. Landing on the structure was no easy task. Lyra guided the shuttle with incredible skill, avoiding energy barriers and unstable platforms. Kale assisted, suggesting angles and thrust adjustments to ensure a smooth landing. The moment they touched down, both knew that the real challenge had begun. Inside, the corridors were vast and alien. Light reflected off surfaces that seemed metallic yet organic, and the air thrummed with a subtle energy. Kale felt a mixture of fear and excitement. This place had been untouched for centuries, yet it still pulsed with life, or at least the echo of life. They followed the device's guidance deeper into the structure. Along the way, they encountered automated defenses, mechanical sentries that had lain dormant for hundreds of years. Lyra moved with incredible precision, disabling traps and neutralizing threats while Kale used his knowledge to anticipate patterns and avoid danger. Their teamwork had become seamless, a blend of human ingenuity and alien skill that allowed them to overcome obstacles that neither could face alone. At last, they reached a chamber at the center of the structure. The device hovered above a pedestal, its energy flaring in response to the surrounding environment. Kale realized that this chamber was more than just storage. It was a gateway, a hub of knowledge left behind by a civilization that had mastered energy manipulation and interstellar communication. "This is incredible," Kyle whispered, his eyes wide. "The knowledge here, it could change everything." Lyra nodded, her usual bashfulness replaced by awe. "We must be careful. Knowledge like this is powerful. It can be used to create or to destroy." Together, they began to study the chamber's systems. Kale deciphered parts of the device's interface, while Lyra interacted with the alien controls. Slowly, the chamber responded, opening pathways and revealing holographic archives filled with information about star systems, energy manipulation, and technology far beyond anything known. Kale felt a sense of pride. Humans had always sought understanding, had always pushed boundaries. And here, even among the stars, that spirit was alive. Hours passed as they explored the chamber. Kale and Lyra shared discoveries, debated interpretations, and marveled at the ingenuity of the long-lost civilization. The more they learned, the clearer it became that the device was not just a weapon or a tool. It was a legacy, a testament to intelligence, creativity, and resilience. As the twin suns of a distant star system reflected through the structure's windows, Kale realized something profound. Humans had always faced the unknown with courage, often when every other species would have retreated. It was that courage that had brought him here, that had allowed him to earn Lyra's trust, and that now empowered them to uncover secrets that could shape the galaxy. Lyra turned to him, her usual shyness returning slightly, but her eyes reflecting respect and admiration. "You're different from anyone I've met," she said quietly. "You think quickly, adapt. You inspire confidence," Kale smiled. "Humans have to. It's how we survive. But I couldn't have done this without you." She nodded, a small smile playing on her lips. "Perhaps together, we can achieve more than we imagined." And in that moment, amid the alien technology and the echoes of a civilization long gone, Kale realized that their partnership was more than chance. It was a convergence of human resilience and alien skill, a bond forged in trust, intelligence, and shared purpose. Together they would face whatever dangers awaited, ready to prove that humanity could stand alongside the greatest forces in the galaxy, not with brute power, but with courage, ingenuity, and an unyielding spirit. Kale felt a mixture of excitement and unease as the shuttle glided toward the heart of the alien structure. After days of exploration, they had uncovered incredible knowledge, and the device now pulsed with energy in response to their presence. Its light illuminated the corridors in patterns that seemed almost alive, guiding them deeper into the core. Kale knew that whatever lay ahead could test them in ways they had never faced before. Lyra moved beside him, her green eyes scanning every detail. Though she had grown more confident during their journey, there was still a hint of her characteristic bashfulness, a subtle reminder that even the most skilled warriors could have moments of hesitation. Yet Kale had come to understand that her careful nature was also her greatest strength. She was methodical, precise, and unyielding when it mattered most. As they reached a vast chamber, the device hovered above a platform surrounded by intricate energy fields. The walls were lined with holographic interfaces displaying data and star maps that stretched across entire galaxies. Kale felt awe wash over him. The structure was more than a station. It was a library of civilizations, a repository of knowledge and power that could change the course of the universe. But before they could approach, the chamber trembled. A low mechanical hum grew into a roar and the air thickened with energy. Automated sentries emerged from hidden alcoves, their designs unlike anything Kale had ever seen. Sleek, adaptive, and incredibly fast. Lyra stepped forward instinctively, her weapons ready, and Kale followed, scanning for weak points. They realized instantly that this would be their greatest challenge yet. The sentries attacked with precision, firing energy blasts that ricocheted across the chamber walls. Kale ducked behind a console, quickly calculating trajectories. "They're adapting to our movements," he shouted. "We need to think differently, move unpredictably." Lyra nodded, a spark of determination lighting her eyes. "Follow my lead. We survive by working together." With that, they moved as one. Lyra used her agility and combat skills to disable sentries, while Kale employed human ingenuity to manipulate the chamber's environment. He redirected energy flows, creating temporary shields and opening new paths. Each movement was calculated yet creative, a dance of instinct and strategy. They were outnumbered, but the combination of alien skill and human adaptability allowed them to turn the tide. Hours passed in a blur of action. The sentries kept coming, but Kale and Lyra never faltered. Kale marveled at her precision, her ability to anticipate threats and act decisively while maintaining a subtle awareness of him beside her. And yet, despite the chaos, there were moments of silent understanding between them. A nod, a glance, a shared instinct that strengthened their trust. Finally, they reached the central platform. The device floated above it, humming with energy as if responding to their presence. Kale carefully examined the control panel, deciphering its alien interface. The knowledge they had gathered in the chamber earlier now made sense. The device was not just a relic, it was a key, capable of unlocking an immense power that could reshape entire systems. But it required balance, precision, and the cooperation of multiple minds to control. Lyra watched him work, her expression unreadable. "Be careful," she warned. "If we miscalculate, the energy could destabilize." Kyle nodded. "I know, but we can do this together." They activated the device, and a wave of energy pulsed through the chamber. Light filled the space, revealing hidden passages, unlocking compartments filled with data, and mapping distant star systems with extraordinary detail. The sentries froze momentarily, their systems unable to comprehend the sudden surge of information. Kyle and Lyra seized the moment, guiding the device's energy flow to stabilize the chamber and neutralize the sentries permanently. As the energy settled, Kale realized the significance of what they had accomplished. Humans had once again proven their resilience, their ability to face the unknown, adapt and solve problems that even the most advanced alien species could not. Lyra's respect for him was evident, though unspoken, and Kale felt a sense of pride not in himself alone, but in humanity's enduring spirit. The crew arrived moments later, their expressions a mix of awe and relief. They had witnessed the power of human ingenuity firsthand, and Kale noticed how even the most hardened mercenary seemed inspired by what they had achieved together. Lyra stepped forward, her usual bashfulness softened by a quiet confidence. "You did well, human," she said simply. "You're thinking." "It saved us," Kale smiled. "We did it together. Humans survive because we adapt, but we thrive when we cooperate." With the immediate danger behind them, they began to catalog the knowledge unlocked by the device. Star maps, energy manipulation techniques, and advanced technologies stretched across the holographic interfaces. Kyle realized that this information could elevate civilizations, foster cooperation, and prevent conflict. He felt a sense of purpose unlike any before. This was humanity making a difference, leaving a legacy that extended far beyond their own species. As they worked, Kale and Lyra discovered a hidden archive containing messages from the civilization that had created the device. Holographic figures explained their intent. They had designed the device to reward those capable of cooperation, intelligence, and courage. It was a test, and Kale understood then that they had passed. Humans, despite being considered fragile by some, had shown the qualities that truly mattered: ingenuity, adaptability, and the courage to act in the face of uncertainty. "Look at this," Kale said, pointing to a sequence of holographic symbols. They left instructions not just for using the device, but for guiding civilizations toward progress. "This is incredible." Lyra studied the data, her eyes reflecting both awe and respect. "It seems they valued collaboration above all." Those who can work together, think creatively, and face danger. They are the ones who succeed. Kale nodded. Exactly. That's humans. That's why we survive. With the device stabilized and the knowledge secured, they prepared to leave the structure. Kale and Lyra stood together at the entrance, looking out at the nebula that had concealed the station. The stars shimmered like jewels against the dark void, and Kale felt a deep sense of connection, not just to Lyra, not just to his crew, but to humanity itself. They had faced incredible odds and emerged stronger, proving once again that courage, intelligence, and cooperation could overcome even the greatest challenges. The return journey was quieter, filled with reflection rather than tension. Lyra remained near Kyle, her bashfulness softened by the shared experience. Though words were few, the understanding between them had grown. They had faced danger, solved complex problems, and unlocked a legacy that would inspire countless beings across the galaxy. When they finally landed back at their hideout, the crew celebrated in their own ways. Kyle felt a mixture of relief and accomplishment. The mission had been dangerous, exhausting, and unpredictable, yet it had also been a testament to the enduring power of human ingenuity. He realized that this was what made humans extraordinary, not just the ability to survive, but to inspire, to innovate, and to create hope in even the darkest corners of the universe. That evening, Kale and Lyra stood outside the cave, gazing at the triple suns of Azura 7 as they sank below the horizon. The sky glowed in shades of violet and gold, a reminder that even in the vastness of space, beauty and possibility could exist side by side with danger. You know, Kale said quietly, humans have a way of finding solutions when nothing seems possible. That's why we survive. Lyra smiled softly, a rare, genuine expression. And perhaps that's why I trusted you. Not because you were human, but because you think, adapt, and act when it matters most. Kyle felt a sense of connection that transcended species. Humans had always been explorers, creators, and problem solvers. And now, in the far reaches of space, that spirit had earned a place among the stars. He knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, humanity would endure, not through brute force alone, but through courage, ingenuity, and the ability to inspire trust and cooperation. As the night settled over the rocky landscape, Kyle reflected on their journey. They had faced ancient technology, relentless defenses, and the unknown dangers of space, yet they had succeeded. Lyra's skill, the crew's loyalty, and his own human ingenuity had combined to achieve what no one might have believed possible. And in that success, he saw a greater truth. Humanity's strength lay not just in individuals, but in the ability to work together, to innovate, and to rise above adversity. The device would guide civilizations, the knowledge would spread, and the lessons they had learned would remain, a testament to the enduring human spirit. Kale felt a sense of pride, not in glory or recognition, but in the simple truth that humans could make a difference. They could survive, adapt, and inspire, even in a galaxy filled with challenges beyond imagination. Lyra stood beside him, her eyes reflecting the stars above. She was no longer just a mercenary. She was a partner, an ally, and a witness to humanity's remarkable resilience. Together they had faced the impossible, and together they had proven that courage, intelligence, and cooperation could overcome even the greatest obstacles. And as Kale looked out at the vast expanse of space, he knew this was only the beginning. Humanity's journey among the stars had just begun, and with allies like Lyra and the crew, they would face whatever came next.